Hello, seventh graders. Welcome back. Today, we're going to dig into a new lesson, lesson 6 in our sequence. And today, we're going to stay focused on our guiding questions about the adolescent brain and also how to make an informed decision about an issue like screen time and then effectively argue my position. This week, we're really thinking more deeply about the adolescent brain and the different parts of the brain. So our article that we read yesterday had a lot to do with the development of the hemispheres of the brain and the lobes of the brain, and that's the article we'll continue to work with today. So the materials that you're going to need right off the bat are going to come from your distance learning printed packet. And you'll want to be able to find your article again called Explainer. This is your brain. Also find your lesson 6 lesson and note catcher. Today you will need a pencil. I'm going to pause here so that you can stop the video, make sure you have these things, and then come on back and push play. Great. Let's get started. Today, our learning targets have 2 focus areas. We're going to work on learning target number 1. I can cite several pieces of text-based evidence to support an informational text. So again, we're going to be looking at our article and maybe annotating, maybe circling, underlining, taking notes on some evidence around questions that we're going to answer today. And also, learning target number 2, I can determine the theme or central idea of an informational text. And in our case, we're actually going to use that central idea to write a summary statement at the end of our lesson today. So as we read today, I'd like you to circle up with a family member, a caregiver, maybe a friend, and read only the section of the article that's titled Dividing Up Brain Functions. You're going to find that on the very top of the second page. And it's again titled Dividing Up Brain Functions. You're going to read that section. It has 4 paragraphs. You can pause the recording here, do the reading, and then come on back and we'll do some thinking and talking and writing about it. Go ahead and push pause. Great. That was a quick read. And when we read something a second time or even a third time, we just get our fluency down and we start getting more understanding about all the information that they're giving to us in that particular slice or segment of the article. So as you engage in today's lesson, I want you to think about the difference between the 2 hemispheres of the brain. How are they similar? And how are they different? Also, think about how much we've learned about the brain in the last 15 years because of some new technology. Be thinking about what that technology is according to the article. And as you continue to think, I'd like you to find somebody in your area that you can talk with and just really look at the following questions. Refer to the picture of the brain that's on page 2 of the article. It's right next to the section that you read today. And as you look at that picture, answer the following questions in your conversation. What do you understand about the hemispheres of the brain? How many cortexes are there in the brain? How many lobes? And how does the structure and function of the brain differ? That all comes from the picture on page 2 and also the segment of the article you read today, Dividing Up Brain Functions. So I'm going to have you pause the video now and have that conversation with someone. I'll see you back here in a minute. Fantastic. Welcome back. So we're going to move on to the write portion, how we are going to write about our learning today of the lesson. So you'll need your lesson 6 note catcher, and it's going to look a little different today. So you're going to fill in information that will support your understanding from the section only that we read today. So there were about 4 paragraphs. It's at the top of page 2 of the article. And again, the text that you're focusing on for this note catcher is just the section titled Dividing Up Brain Functions. And I'd like you to follow each of the prompts in your note catcher, use your pencil, and write in the information that it's asking for. And sometimes you can put it into your own words. You can cite evidence from the article itself. The first question starts with, what are the 4 lobes of each hemisphere of the brain? So that's going to take some note-taking skills. Then it will ask you, what is the most popular misunderstanding outlined in this section of the article? So find that misunderstanding and retell it. It asks you, why is the idea of left brain and right brain now an outdated idea? And then the 4th part of this note catcher says, think about how scientists now think about relationships between structure and function. How did studies around brain damage, and they called it lesioned studies, how did those studies help scientists? And then lastly, you're going to write a summary. So I'm going to give you some time to pause this video, work with that section of text and your note catcher, and then come on back, about 15 minutes. That's great. Welcome back. This is a really heavy article. I know that. It has a lot of very scientific ideas in it, but we really need to know a lot about our brain in order to dive into our next steps around how technology affects the development of the brain, how we have to get enough sleep. There's just all kinds of things that we need to attend to. So you have to know what the brain is like in order to do that. I'd like to have you go to your note catcher. Specifically, let's go to that second section. What is the most popular misunderstanding? And I've got to tell you, I've been a teacher a really long time, and research like this takes me by surprise sometimes, because 10 and 20 and 30 years ago as a teacher, we talked a lot about the left brain and the right brain and the creative side and the mathematical side, and we were just wrong, apparently. So the popular misunderstanding is about that left brain, right brain section of the article. And I hope you wrote down some things about that right there. We'll check out your summary as time goes on. But as we close today's lesson, I want you to share your note catcher and your writing with someone and explain what you've learned during the second day on this article today. It's kind of a close reading around that one section around hemispheres and lobes and, the misunderstanding about left brain, right brain. And we'll be picking up with this topic again tomorrow with lesson 7. After you complete this assignment today, remember to read for your own pleasure, something that interests you. You maybe have access to it online or something in the house. And then also practice your fluency by reading a segment of the article, possibly just the one we read today, and just see how you do with reading it for 1 minute. Count the number of words and just put it off to the side or at the top of the page. And I'll see you again soon. You make it a great day.